So, first and foremost, I'm really, really honored. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here on this podium hosting Amitabh. A lot of respect for Amitabh. I've been following Amitabh way before we worked as colleagues at Arvind. And what he did to Indian Terrain as a brand, a commendable job, a homegrown brand. So I've been following Amitabh's, let's say, penchant for setting up brands since a long time, and he has done a phenomenal job. And of course, he has taken US Polo to a very different level. I'm also thankful to Sandeep for sort of putting this together. It's not easy to get people and to host these shows. So great job, Sandeep, if you're there. So a round of applause for Sandeep. And without further ado, as we all know, this whole landscape of Indian brand and retail is going through such a major transformation. Last few years have been dramatic, absolutely. And the scale, for example, to my understanding, we are almost about $100 billion is the size of the retail in India. It is expected to sort of, reach almost about $170 billion by 2030. It has been growing at a CAGR of almost about 8 to 10% over the last 6 years. Also, one mega change has been this whole shift from unorganized to organized. As per the last figures that I read, the organized market has now reached 49%. So still 51% share of the market is still with the unorganized. So long way to go to move to the organized segment. And now within this 49% organized market, interesting bit is that 22%, the largest share, is e-commerce. So it's online and e-commerce, and 19% is brick and mortar. And the e-commerce bit is supposed to reach almost about 25% share of the market. It is supposed to grow at a higher CAGR. So fundamentally, dynamics of Indian retail changing dramatically. We've also seen a lot of interesting new, let's say, curated boutique brands targeting from Gen Z to Gen A coming up. Very interesting new brands that have come up in the market. You keep hearing about Soul Store, you keep hearing about Snitch. We have my dear friend from Soul Store sitting here. She's done a phenomenal job. So, and also other Freakins, Rare Rabbit. So the landscape changing dramatically. At the other end, you have this whole value retail segment, which is almost on hormones, right? So when you really, really get to know about what they're doing up to, both multi-product as well as product, let's say, specialty retail, both. So in this, absolutely amazing landscape, promising a lot of growth. It's a great time to have a chat with Amitabh and listen to his point of view. And we will keep it as conversational as possible, Amitabh. Right? And so I have a few questions, but please feel free to digress from there. I don't think we need to really wait to end this, to move to the end of the chat to have any questions. Maybe we can, in between also, we can hold a few questions. So my first question is about the consumer shift, the shift of the Indian consumer, what are the major shifts that you've observed, Amitabh, over this journey? And especially the consumer's relationship with denim. How have you seen that change over the period of time? And now with this Generation Alpha ruling the roost, so to say.
Thank you for being here. Aamir, you're of course an inspiration to me. For those who don't know enough about him, he's ushered jeans into this country very, very early on. Through textiles with Arvind. We've always looked up at him. He's somebody I personally consider a guru of mine. So it's a matter of honor to sit across the room with him and have this chat. Getting to your question, I just believe that the market is changed because there's a change in demographic, right? There's the inflection point of a new generation coming to the workforce. A new generation who's being exposed to fashion very early. But while all this is happening, denim is a constant. And that's the possibly most heartening sign that jeans continue to be relevant to Gen Alpha, Gen Zs, and the guys before them. What changes I'm seeing is the way jeans are being perceived. Till now, at least large generation, the millennials and then the guys who came after us, jeans were basically a style stamp authority. So there had to be somebody who had A, heritage, somebody who had B, great insights about jeans and manufacturing. And you were actually going to a specialist to buy a pair of jeans. You had to go to someone who stood for jeans. And there were so many emotive codes which were, cued into our consumption cycle. I'm talking about the days when ads came in newspapers. So there was a two-dimensional appearance on what a denim could look like. And, the cinemas helped. There were no influencers as many there, but the younger models, the better-looking people, the slightly higher society echelon, all influenced to make denim a really kick-ass category. Now that continues even till date, but the perception is no longer that about a brand first. It's about getting my style right. So from a push mechanism of the past years, where a denim brand stood for a certain bunch of attributes: young, vivacious, sexy, rugged, masculine. The codification of the consumption changed to more like my style, my rules, my life, my vibe, my mood. And that's the generation we are talking today, who's not really impressed by brand names. They are more impressed by what the brands can do for them. Can the brand make them feel comfortable in their own skin? Can the brand not preach to them? Can a brand, and not necessarily become their best friend tomorrow, but can the brand just let them be, let them enjoy the experience of retail, whether it's online or offline? And numbers are so staggering today. I was talking to a bunch of my colleagues early morning, and we just closed our year, and I realized we sold about 2 million denims in our year of last season with US Polo, and about 500,000 with Flying Machine. And I was amazed that 44% of those numbers came from the online side. So here's a brand, classic American vintage lifestyle offering called US Polo, who's managed to sell virtually 2.5 lakh units of jeans online by just being static. We don't really make our jeans into, larger than life, worn by celebrities. It's possibly the most easy-going, comfort-first, reassuring, happy, day-wear brand. And we've got consumers buying into this. And I can bet my last dollar that 50-60% of the consumers who bought our product online were the younger folks. So I find it extremely rewarding as a brand manager to see the fruits of our labor coming to work, where you don't necessarily keep tinkering around with the product. You don't keep on trying too hard. And I think that's the right word to use. Don't try too hard to appease the Gen Zs. They are normal people like you and I. They're just a different generation. They have a different bunch of cues coming their way. So they'll react to situations differently. But we are human beings at the end of the day. So they're going to come back to the same core messaging. And the testimony of that to me is US Polo's fantastic journey over our jean sales in the last 12 months.
Fabulous. Compliments, right? A round of applause for this phenomenal performance. So, Amitabh, to your point here, before I move on to the next question, this whole thing about keeping it simple, right? Not trying too hard. Now, this is really easier said than done, right? I mean, believe me, keeping things simple is one of the most difficult things, right? I mean, like Steve Jobs, did that to a cell phone or to all his product category, but nobody else has been able to do it, right? So, what did it really take for you to sort of mentally change the organization to sort of move towards the simplicity? Because normally we've seen that, especially in the corporate setups, you have these functions, you have these departments, and they're all doing their jobs, right? So their job is to put together new things. Their job is to put together new models. Now here, as a head of that organization, you're trying to keep it simple, right? So did it take a lot of, let's say, intervention in terms of a lot of coaching, telling, removing? What did it take to keep it simple?
It's not easy to keep things simple, as simple sounds. And it did take a lot of effort to ensure that the team understands why you're trying to keep it simple. So my philosophy is to folks back at workplaces that we are always looking inside out, right? we look at the market as a large place. We sometimes say we got 1.4 billion potential consumers buying into a product. Well, they're not 1.4 billion, let me assure you. There are a far lesser number of guys who are serving as a consumer. Point one. Point two is that designers, product developers love to create. It's probably something which is ingrained upon them. It's like it's incumbent if you are a product developer that I must experiment, I must create a larger wardrobe, and you create it based on all the ecosystem available to you. So they come to a place like D&J and see, man, what fantastic jeans, what a fantastic bob knit idea, what a brilliant snub hatch, what a great weight, what a great blend. Hey, I think I can take this as something new. It's a new NPI, it's a new product initiative. Let me go score with that into my system. And that begins the journey, because we have kept the source code open, at some level. It's like anyone and everyone can become a designer or a product tomorrow, because India, and luckily, has got such fantastic mills and support system. Now, let's understand two things on the side where we are. We are a retailer. We are competing with value retail, we're competing with online retail, we're competing with a bunch of brands who are as hardworking as we are. We are competing with income groups, we're competing with experiences, share of wallet. There is enough and more complications happening to our business outside. I remember the time when I'm here for many years, two and a half decades. I remember competition was only the next brand on the aisle next to you. Today, the competition could be a restaurant, because the competition could be a Goa holiday or Bali or Phuket or Europe. Because consumers' wallet is now seeing a lot more than apparel. If you remember, the great Kishore Biani, when he launched Central, had something called Shop, Eat, Celebrate, right? Was his three words, Shop, Eat, Celebrate. Because Indians in the early 2000s to mid 2010, just do three things which meant recreation. Either I go shopping, or I eat, or I'm celebrating a festival, I'm celebrating a wedding, or an auspicious moment in a family. Now cut to that today, there's no shop, eat, celebrate. There is shop, maybe, maybe not, eat for sure. Look at the restaurants around us. There's so much food, there's so much experience being offered to consumers. So largely anybody who's in the consumer space is competing with all these attributes. Now think about it. I've got a marketplace which is complicated. I have a consumer who's complicated because he's aging from a millennial to a Gen Z, now to Gen Alpha. I have a host of services available to this consumer. If I go back and allow my people at the back end also to complicate things for me, I will run a banana republic, and I don't need the brand. I'll run a crazy house. So it is more out of a need to bring stability to your business and to actually see how we are progressing. And God's been very kind to allow me to work on a brand as strong as US Polo. It's such a fantastic brand for the consumer. And I tell everybody I meet that US Polo is a consumer's brand. He pretty much dictates what he wants, because every time we do something right, we only get love from the consumer. So it's a very high responsibility on our shoulders as brand managers and brand promoters to keep things simple for consumer, to ensure that when he comes into your store, his experience is constant and heightened. It's not bewildering. He can't just come, oh my God, I came, last time I saw something which I liked, suddenly someone's gone and changed the entire product mix. And more so on jeans, because jeans, like I mentioned, is something we come to US Polo for your repeats. And that's the business we want to create. We want to make sure that people keep coming back and buying more of the same, so they're allowed to do what they want outside there for their individual behaviors. So we've been keeping things simple. It's not been easy, but I'm blessed to have a team who gets it. And the kind of progress we've made in the last 12 months, 18 months, is testimony to the fact that the team understands, and now they are leading it. So I have to go back and say, "Itna boring bhi mat bano yaar, thoda to kuch karne nahi hai. We are very happy. We'll just do this and not more." So problem solved to a large extent.
So I really didn't know, Amitabh, that you were a slave driver, but good to know this, because that's doing a lot of good to the brand, right? So that's fabulous. One small sort of housekeeping note, Sandeep, please call out when we are running late, right? Because there's so many. While there's a bunch of questions that I have, but from this conversation itself, there are so many interesting let's say, narratives that one can talk about, right? So just one second, let me pull out. Okay. So the next question is about competing with global giants, Amitabh, where the international players we have seen of late getting really firmly entrenched in the Indian landscape of retail. So the H&Ms of the world, the Zaras of the world, the Uniqlos of the world, of course Levi's has been there for a long, long time. So this new situation where you have, earlier on you didn't have this competition to this extent, but now practically all the global brands are here and their presence is increasing, right? So let's say a homegrown brand, because this is not you wearing as a US polo hat, but generally for the Indian brand landscape, a homegrown brand handling competition from these international brands who come with a lot of, let's say, support. How does that work? Yeah, what is that space going through?
No, I think I know, it's very easy to get overawed when you hear the names of Zara and H&M and Uniqlo and the likes of them. You look at them and you say, oh, these guys must be really smart. Oh, they have possibly got better fashion sensibility than what we've got. They have lots of money, they can open large stores. So it's an intimidating factor for a lot of Indian homegrown brands. But you have to understand one thing, they don't know your culture. Right? They don't know your market, they don't know your climatic conditions, they don't know your nuances, they don't know your Pongal and Diwali and Pujo. They don't know all that. They learn, but they know that. So if you try and compete with the global giants toe to toe, chances are you will not succeed, largely. But if you actually go across to them and see what are their possible Achilles heels or where they go wrong, it's very easy to spot it. I mean, I've been spotting it for years. I've been fortunate to travel to international markets. I've seen how a Zara, Uniqlo, H&M operates overseas. And I can assure you it's not what it is in India. So India gets sometimes the not so good stuff. And we are attuned as Indians to believe that Bahar ka maal hai, acha hoga, must be good. I don't believe that completely. I do have respect for them, don't get me wrong. But there is no reason for us to get overawed by global brands. But what we have to learn from the global brands is more important. I'm going to probably heighten that. I don't want to get into jingoistic argument saying Mera Bharat Mahan, make in India. Of course, Mera Bharat Mahan and we should make in India. But I'd rather talk to a bunch of Indian brands and tell them that there are certain things we must pick up from the likes of a Uniqlo or the likes of an H&M, like a Zara. One, there's a very deep focus on what they're doing. Like if you look at a Uniqlo's point of view on how he or she assembles their stores or their product mix versus a Zara, you can't be both. You don't see a Zara trying to be a Uniqlo and Uniqlo trying to be Zara. But here, Indian garment houses and fashion houses want to do best of both the worlds. So, best of both the world doesn't happen. You got to take a slightly strong positioning with what you want to do as a business and say, these are my do's and these are my don'ts. I don't want to be here. It could be lucrative. It could be a short-term engagement. I could really make some great margins out of it. But abstain from that. Please try and define what you are as your own brand or your brand space. Two is focus on execution. I mean, I've had the privilege of working in my previous avatar on exports with the way Westerners approach their business. They are process driven. There is no jugaad in their life. Indians love and pride to be jugaad. We're 11th hour specialists, including me. I'm not some European sitting in front of you. We love it. That's the way we are brought up. That's what we are like. But I would really urge a lot of you to change that one thing about you, and that execution focus is possibly the most important thing which we don't have. We always get to the finish line, that yes, we do very well, but we make it into a too long drawn a battle. So execution capabilities, the razor sharp focus on who they're addressing, understanding that consumer. And now comes the aha moment for the Indian guys. If you know your consumer you'll be able to deliver a better product faster to him or her. If you don't know your consumer and you're trying to copy a Westerner and say, oh, let me just do a WGSN report and see my top trends, whether or not these trends apply to my markets, I don't care. They must be great trends. So you can't adopt trends just for the sake of it. You got to go back, take those trends, of course, take your inspirations from there, but then you got to boil them down to what really works for your market. And the more time you spend walking through the aisles of your own retail stores, of your competition, the high streets, the malls, observe consumers, see their behavior patterns, it comes together. But there's no formula, Aamir bhai, which says tomorrow, okay, hum global hara dega. Global ko harana hai, to thoda aur mehnat karna padega. And you got to work really as hard and as focused as those guys. So you know how much experience you've got. You know the clarity of thought the Westerners bring to apparel, because they've been in this business for many years before us. So their systems are much stronger. So if we bring our discipline back, I don't think Indian brands can not compete with the global folks.
So, Amitabh, it's almost like I'm hearing a FMCG head, right, rather than a fashion head. With the way you were sort of talking about consumer insights, the way you're talking about competition mapping, and making a product based on those consumer insights and having a very clear north pole that you sort of, you target. So it's really amazing. And we have seen that in that space also, if you see in Indian context, there have been cases where the best of the FMCG companies have missed out on certain categories that were very, very Indian. For example, let's say a Levers or a Procter & Gamble, they are sort of benchmarks on consumer insight-based product introduction, but they did miss out on a Patanjali, right? Or, there have been, let's say, in the Indian even fashion ecosystem, there have been occasion where and ceremonial wear brands that came up, right? Aamir comes up, right? So, to your point, Amitabh, clearly having your own point of view and sort of sticking to it and trying to do things that way, that's a great insight out of this conversation.
One extra point is that also the brands who are doing very well in the Indian context, and I'm very proud to say US Polo is one of them, and while we are hitting on to the global giants, is also there's no room for complacency. I think that's one of the reasons why Levers lost out to Patanjali to a large extent was, and before the Patanjali story, for those who know Tamil Nadu, there used to be there's a company called Calvin Care who came up with these shampoo sachets, which of course today revolutionized the way FMCG operated in the markets going forward. It was complacency on the cards with large groups. So you guys will realize that at some point, if a global brand starts doing well, he or she might get complacent. Well, that's your opportunity. So Calvin Care came and reshaped that whole chick shampoo into a sachet and made it like into the next $1 million acquisition moment for themselves. So just to add to that, there is always going to be somebody who's on the top of the game who will get complacent. You can go back and fire at that guy's space. We did that. So I'm just giving you my own example. We did a lot of that in our lives.
So a question more to, let's say, from a denim perspective, Amitabh. Traditionally, denim has been this whole strong utilitarian workwear, right? I mean, even in America today, major business would be towards servicing the utilitarian part of denim. I mean, a product that you need every day to go to office, to go to your farm, to go to your industry. And then this whole journey towards fashion, so from utility to fashion. So in Indian context, I mean, how do you see this journey? My question is it really compartmentalized? Say, for example, the value retail in India is servicing the utilitarian part. So, for example, that first guy in his first, Amazon warehouse, when he needs a pair of jeans, he goes to a value retail and picks up that because that's affordable and hardworking. And a fashion guy would sort of go to a brand. Or is it a mix? A brand also needs to service both utilitarian as well as the fashion need of consumers.
So I honestly believe that we missed that part of denim being utilitarian in this country. It's like how we missed being 1G, 2G, we extended to 3G in our business. We missed the whole advent of laptops and came straight to mobile phones and smartphones, right? we are a very cool country. I mean, for those who don't believe me, trust me. We have actually leapfrogged over technology that no one else has. So we have possibly even leapfrogged this whole gizmo of being a brand who can be called workwear, so to speak. Denim has just possibly captured the imagination of India very clearly. In fact, today you will be surprised that there are still people who are buying their first pair of jeans. I'll repeat this so you understand what I'm saying. There's still a bunch of people who are still buying their first pair of jeans. Now that tells you a lot about what denim means to a consumer. It's a very high emotional connect. It's not a gabardine, indigo dyed, 5-pocket product as technically it's referred to. It's a very emotive product. It's emotive because the aspiration of wearing a pair of jeans and wearing a good pair of jeans are two different things. So first is wear a pair of jeans. Then is to wear a good pair of jeans. Now we are in India at an inflection point where there's so many consumers still trying to pair their very good pair of, the good pair of jeans, which is why brands like Zudio, Freakins, Snitch are doing well because they're actually coming up and telling a consumer that you're buying fashion from us. I think the smartness of the value retailers in this country, Aamir bhai, in my opinion, is that they don't sell basics. I mean, if I look at Zudio, and I had the chance of going and working in that Zudio store with a bunch of guys, they were setting up, I spent some time with them. They are not trying to sell basics. And that's the common mistake we make, that, oh, if the disposable income is low, inko fashion nahi chahiye. And I've got buyers in my office come and say, no, just because the store is far flung into the hinterlands of India and doesn't have a very high-end consumer buying into it, sasta mal bech do, wo bhi nahi karna. So we're learning that by, that we are actually selling good stuff in small markets. So there are a lot of assumptions one makes in this business, that value fashion hoga to basic hoga. Agar it is going to a small town, let's send them low value or low ASP product, they'll thrive better. These are not rules Indian markets understand or play with. The success of people is to offer fashion, or the belief of saying fashion. Now again, I'll give you guys an example. For those who think Snitch makes fashion, think again. He doesn't make fashion, right? He makes clothes which are culturally right. He's able to figure out faster turns. I can go on about that model for us, but these guys are rewriting rules of supply chain. And because they're just simply changing their delivery model, it's looking like a wow in the market. And that's the power of supply chain. If as a business we can rewrite, constantly challenge assumptions we have made historically on our supply chain rules, on our product assortment, on our buy mixes, on our planning cycles, on our core assortments. Just go back and challenge each one of them, and there is an opportunity somewhere hiding, waiting to be uncovered. And that's what I keep looking at as my business. And we are doing that for Flying Machine now. We are really coming up with I can't tell you what the plan is, but we are coming up with a plan, let me put it this way. And we are actually challenging every assumption we have made to move a denim wear brand into the market. So I'm wishing myself luck, and I'm hoping you guys wish me luck as well on Flying Machine, and we can turn things around for that brand, because it's possibly one of the most coolest brand, and it's the only brand in our portfolio which is belonged 100% by us. It's Aamir, it's a 100% Indian brand, and to see an Indian brand actually rewrite the rules in the market would something I'll probably go home a happier human being, more satisfied for sure.
I'm sure everybody is going to wait with bated breath, on this new avatar of Flying Machine. And as you rightfully said, a huge brand equity for that brand. I have been a part of that journey to some extent. So yes, we'll all look forward to that, right, for sure. But great insights on these points, Amitabh, that you just now mentioned. And I don't know, how are we running for time, Sandeep? You have to we have 5-10 minutes, right? Okay. So maybe one last question, One is that, which partially has been answered, I think, in this conversation about this direct-to-consumer brands. I mean, the D2C brands, right? And this whole, like you mentioned, and the data also says that this whole e-commerce business is growing, right? And we've seen that in this whole e-commerce business, the major part of your cost, among the manufacturer's cost, is going into you paying that cost or you're paying that money to the platforms, right? So it's the Amazons of the world, or they are the ones who are getting the money, right? So how sustainable are these D2C brands, and how does that landscape look when it comes to this whole brand landscape, the direct-to-consumer brands?
So sustainability of a D2C brand, and I'm just talking from an outsider. I don't run a D2C brand. I've tried running one in the past, but I don't run one today. The D2C brands on current unit economics doesn't make sense. But it's not about today. And that's the difference India's kind of investing in. We are looking at D2C as a large, long-term investment. It's going to be a data-rich business model. It's going to be a model which is going to be devoid of consumer insights. Because the consumer insights are coming at time of purchase. It's all being recorded. It's all being the kind of data analytics D2C brand runs versus what we run in our offline world is chalk and cheese. And at Arvind, we've got a team who runs our platforms for .com, for marketplaces. And when I get a chance to interact with them, now I do it more often, and I'm amazed at the insights we can build with that. So if you look at it from a unit economics perspective, Aamir bhai, I don't think it's making money. But if you just look at the potential, what it can be 5 years from now, it's a massive opportunity. The question out here is, can you sustain the 5 years? Point one. Two, will you remain focused, or will you get lost in the pack? Three, will you get taken over by somebody because you show potential? Four, I mean, there's a lot of things can happen from now to 5 years. Governments can change. We just changed two in Tamil Nadu and West Bengal. So I don't know whether it's going to be a long term or not, but it's an exciting place. They're rewriting the rules. They're getting far more interesting with the way they deliver the product to consumers. That's the more important part, right? I don't know why people want to get a jeans in 5 minutes. मेरे को समझ नहीं आता. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I still like going to a store, parking my car, going out there, trying a denim, etc. But ये छोटा छोकरा लड़का उसको 5 मिनट denim घर पे चाहिए. अभी quick fashion ने मेरे को एकदम it's put me off guard because I don't enjoy that experience shopping. But don't get me wrong, I encourage it. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So one very important part is don't take it personally. What you don't like will not work is not the future. See the kind of numbers Q-commerce is doing. So I had our president and CEO Michael Prince in India in 2025 last year. And I was chatting with him in Delhi and I saying, Michael, we've got this fab thing called quick commerce. He says, quick commerce. What's quick commerce? Said quick commerce is you sit out here and I can order you a pair of jeans and a shirt in 15 minutes delivered to your room. He says, what? 15 minutes? I said, yeah, maybe shorter. So I pulled out my phone, logged into one of those guys. I won't name them. Don't want to give them credit right now. Okay, it was Blinkit. No, it was not Blinkit. It was somebody else. But somebody, right? Maybe who the fashion guy was. And I ordered him a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. And I ordered, by the way, US Polo. I didn't order any other brand. So we ordered the US Polo. And in 15 minutes, there was a parcel at the hotel in Nehru Place. And he was amazed. And then he said, give me more, give me more. So much so he gave me a mandate saying that, Amitabh, I want to know everything you guys are doing in India to communicate US Polo. And this work is done by a bunch of my colleagues down in our office who do a fabulous job. And I said, but Michael, I am an old man. I don't know how it works. But I'll find out and tell you. And then I went back to him and told him, these are our pages. These are the kind of, catalog shoots we do. This is the cost is what? You shoot a garment in, what, $4? I said, yeah, $4. So you do a $4 shoot. I said, I do a $4 shoot. So just look at the way the Western is figuring it out, right? For them, Q-commerce is alien. They pay for delivery for online shopping. It's a high charge. We're getting it free. So जब फ्री होता है ना तो उसका होता है मिसयूज कि आने दो आता है ना अमेजोन दिखाने दो तो फ्री में मिला तो मिसयूज करेगा कंज्यूमर और मंगवाएगा ये भी ले आओ वो भी ले आओ वापस कर दो और हम लोग कर रहे हैं बिकॉज हमारे पास एक 1.5 बिलियन पॉपुलेशन है हम सब सोचा सा स्केल आएगा यार अभी करो करो चुपचाप बैठे करो सो हियर इज द डाइकॉटमी डू वी डू इट डोंट डू इट ऑफ कोर्स वी डू इट राइट no one's a fool running these large corporations but at some point you see there's some logic coming Myntra I was chatting with Myntra has come down to becoming almost EBITDA zero they're losing money for a while so it's also comes with the scale you need big pockets deep pockets but you can't ignore this consumer you can't ignore this habit so D2C is going to completely pose multiple challenges I assure you but it's going to be one hell of a journey and I'm so glad I'm old I'll be retired by then तो मेरा माथा नहीं खराब होगा कम से कम मैं निकल गया
So good luck. I don't think the industry is going to let you retire, Amitabh. On a different note, but I mean to your point, while the Americans are paying more for their own quick commerce, possibly the same Americans are also paying for our quick commerce also, right? Because the money is coming from that Canadian pension fund, right? So they are the ones who are funding. So they are the ones who are funding our quick commerce also. So but that's on a different note. But I think in the interest of time, Amitabh, we can open up the forum for a few questions, and then after that we can summarize. So happy to take questions.
Yeah. Sure, we talked about the business part of it, and you mentioned India leapfrogs. Give an example of mobile phones. When do you expect India to leapfrog in the sustainability, environmental sustainability front, and try to catch up with what's happening in Europe?
How much do you believe in Europe's sustainability?
My question is, you can't ask me question.
Okay, I'll ask you. I'll answer my question and answer yours again. So sustainability, in my humble opinion, is a bit of an overstretch, right? So I'll give you an example. There's a garment at Zara. There's a label on the garment says, I'm sustainable. So the assumption here is that the garment is sustainable. But the garment is not sustainable. The label is sustainable. So everybody is trying to talk to the Gen Zs who claim to have a, they're unhappy with our ways of working because we have done a lot of Mother Earth pollution, so to speak. We have caused a lot of concerns around here. And these kids want to be the new, the volunteers of peace and harmony, and there's less sustainability, for example, is one of their virtues. It's not easy to be sustainable, right? There's a price for sustainability. So when you say Europe or you say an American market, slightly more valued economy, I can still understand that. You so I was telling somebody that out of 1,500 million people, only 40 million people are addressed by 95% of the brands in this country. So while you can boast about a population size of what you are, your consumption class is 40 million in this country. In the 40 million, you have probably 1% sitting on top who's able to afford and say, I will be sustainable. हम कहते हैं brown bread खाने वाले लोग versus white bread खाने वाले लोग. That's the first sign of showing a class difference of saying I want to be healthy choices. Multigrain versus wheat or maida, call it what you want. Sustainability has a price. So when you want to do a cotton crop, you want to do a product line of sustainability, it's a premium to it. You are running a market where you are constantly discounting of pricing. And you're trying to lure in a larger pool of consumers to come in and hoping as well at some point there will be an inflection point and these guys will start buying fresh. And that's the long-term dream of apparel in the world, right? And especially in our country. So sustainability is not the number one, I'm being honest, it's not the number one criteria in my head because no one's going to pay the price of sustainability. And playing games and dancing around the problem and saying, yeah, I've got sustainability, I've got a product which I'm doing only half a liter of water. So a denim takes 8 liters to wash, 8 liters. 8 bottles of distillery to make one denim. Sustainability, I can now make it in 2 liters, half a liter, 500 ml. Those things is what Arvind is priding itself to do. So if you look at Arvind's product for denim, there's a constant approach, and Aamir bhai can tell you more about it. There's a load of less water being used. In fact, Ahmedabad's entire water, the dirty water they've got coming out of the Ahmedabad, is recycled single-handedly by Arvind and used for textile washing. So there are companies who are truly doing it, right, in the manufacturing space. But for brands, it becomes difficult because I can buy that cloth from Arvind, but I end up buying a zipper from Waikiki, Japan. I end up buying a leather patch from a Turkish manufacturer. That product will not be sustainable. So landfills will happen. There will be continued concern to the environment at large. Just one process can't do it. There will be a lot more to happen. So sustainability is a bit of a eyewash, in my opinion, personal opinion. But there are very, very good manufacturers who are trying to solve problems which are solvable, like less water consumption, less fertilizers. But you want to do a denim wash, you got to use indigo. It's going to take a bunch of enzymes. It's going to take some acid. It's going to dirty the Sabarmati for sure. But then you got one Puneet Lalbhai who will help us clean it. So we were in safe hands, especially from Arvind's point of view, if nothing else.
Well said. Very well said. Question? Sandeep, yeah. Go ahead, please.
Last question. So, Amitabh, I wanted to ask you, basically, men's bottom have been the driving force behind denim. The men's bottom, men's jeans, have been the driving force behind the entire denim industry in India. So, when do you think other categories, women's jeans or other categories would contribute to this growth? I mean, in a big way.
So denims, we know is a 12-ounce product, 10, 12-ounce largely. Women is coming in big. I don't know why you don't, maybe brands don't talk about women's, but D2C brands are doing a lot of women's wear denims right now. Women denims are no longer, a woman's jean doesn't mean to her what a man's jeans means to a man. So that's a very simple code. Women don't understand or they don't have emotion for the denim. They have an emotion for the look and the usage. And the indexation of saying, how fashionable am I on a scale of 1 to 10? The higher I'm on my fashionable requirement, the more I'll look into my denim shopping. The less fashion requirement I have, the less I'm looking into it. So I don't think women are ever going to support the denim industry the way men do it, because men have brought a structure to it in terms of we want a certain array of washes or a certain array of casts or weights or yarns or blends or stretched material and all that. Women don't have that kind of requirement. They have a very different requirement on jeans and their product is different. Where denim manufacturers are thinking is how they can make indigo come alive with linens. Can it come alive with tensils? Can it come alive with blends? Can you offer the indigo feel to a woman's dress, to a woman's shirt? Because women by default like wearing lightweight products. It's also cheaper from a manufacturing perspective. So if the denim industry doesn't pivot into multitasking the use case for their products and they remain dominant saying, nahin, 12 ounce का denim ही बनाएंगे, आप बनाओ और क्या use case बनेगा? Versus saying, I understand denim, I understand what I can do with this product. If I just play with the weights, try and look at what women want in terms of their requirements in top wear, in dresses, in shirts, in knits tomorrow. That's the leapfrog. So it's tough to say anybody else will come to denim. Men will consume what they consume. It's going to be a high consumption base. You should be very happy that loose fits are in manufacturers. So there's more consumption to fabric, therefore there's more sales happening your way. Don't wish for hipsters and skinny to come back, फिर खत्म हो जाएगा आप लोगों का धंधा. तो keep saying और expand करो, घाघरा चोली बना दो आदमी को. You'll get more consumption. I mean, but that's the only, jokes apart, but I don't think women are going to come and consume denim the same way. But you can really make your product go up and down, your value chain in terms of weights, and then you can probably see the effect of how your sales can double up from your looms.
All right, so I think we can close with this, is it? So some final comments. Amitabh, first and foremost, thanks a lot. And let me tell you something, a realization during this conversation from the bottom of my heart you into multiple such situations where you have conversations, Amitabh, and normally you get answers to your questions. I think this is one of those conversations where we got a lot of insights, and insights are way beyond answers. To specify, for example, like you mentioned, Amitabh, that keeping it simple, right? Now that's an insight that it operates at a more philosophical level, right? Or not falling in love with your own idea because you don't like something, that doesn't mean it's not going to work, right? So being able to sort of put things into perspective and context. So I'm sure I have got a lot of insights out of this conversation. I'm sure the audience here too would have benefited from those insights. So power to you, Amitabh. God bless you. All the best to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.